It's the first podcast of 2023. I'm your boy, the Kempire, and you're listening to the Kempire Radio Podcast. Welcome back, guys. As you know, every time we do the podcast, I want it to be a different experience, a different space for us to have different types of conversations. In 2022, we talked about Reiki, we talked about astrology, we had some of our faves come through, and we had really great conversations. So for 2023, that is my goal, to continue conversations that I used to do like 15 years ago with people from behind the scenes in music, people behind the scenes in entertainment and TV, and really great conversations about life, love, learning, and growing. So stay tuned for all of that. That's the intention that I'm setting. As usual, if you've been following me on other platforms, I've been asking this question. Years ago, I used to always have one particular word for the year. It was something that would inspire me for the year. Like, this is going to be my year of transformation. This is going to be my year of abundance. This is going to be my year of something. And then when I watched the Harry and Meghan documentary, Meghan actually brought this up, that this was something that one of her friends did. And it reminded me, I was like, wow, I haven't done that in a long time. So I've been asking all of you, what is your word of 2023? What is that word that's going to propel you forward? What is that word that you're aiming for in 2023? I don't think it's the same as a resolution. For me, it's more about a goal, more about a affirmation of this is what I want for myself. Okay? And of course, you would just lead your life. So I've said my word originally was travel, because I want to travel more in 2023. However, when I said that, I was like, I'm not sure if that's my word. Well, after that, I heard the word in my head, influential. I want to continue to grow my influence on multiple media platforms. But of course, with that word influential comes a responsibility, because if you're going to be influential, are you being influential in a positive way, in a fun way, in an uplifting way, in a transformative way? So for me right now, I'm going to say for 2023, my goal is to be influential. But what is your goal? What is your word for 2023? So as you know, during the holidays, I still have all the holidays things up, but I will tell you this. I have started throughout my house taking things down, and right now, 2 trees are still up. So I say I'm 50-50 maybe, or a good majority of things have been taken down. What about you? Have you taken down all of your Christmas decor? Technically, we just celebrated Three Kings, Orthodox Christmas. I'm using all the excuses to keep some of this stuff up. But I'm not one of those people that will keep this stuff up year round. No, I need to have that feeling of Christmas come back to me once, Thanksgiving comes around, once, December comes around. That's when I will, take these things back out. But I have to say, it was a production. I don't know if I felt truly 100% the Christmas spirit this season. And I think it was because I have so much happening and so much going on. And of course, I had a trip going to Copenhagen, Denmark. So let's talk about my trip and all of the ups and the downs. So, I was really keeping it under wraps where I was going. However, if you listen to the podcast, I already told you where I was going. And I know a lot of you are like, why you don't want to tell people where you're going? Well, partially for security reasons. But I would have been this way even if I wasn't on a public platform. I just don't need people to know where I am, when I am. I feel like everyone should be that way. So many people share so much on social media. You don't have to be a Kardashian for people to, want to ransack your house or, you know what I mean? But I do got cameras and everything's all technified. But anyways, so I am a little bit like, I don't need you to know where I am especially in our society with technology, they're already tracking us as much as they can. I'm a little weird like that, but rightfully so. Because I've had some things, especially recently, because I'm such a public person, because I put my face out on social media where thousands and millions of people are watching the content, you do have to be somewhat careful. And I've seen some interesting things. And people, although they mean well, it does cross lines sometimes. So to my trip, Copenhagen, Denmark. So the day that I was leaving was when we had that really bad weather here in New York. The entire country had bad weather. And shout out to Buffalo. Buffalo, I have a few friends that live up in Buffalo. They've been hit so bad in these last couple of months. I mean, between the weather, between the mass shooting that happened. So shout out to everyone in Buffalo. So when I was leaving, had this terrible, terrible weather happening here in New York. And the day that I was leaving is when the day that the temperature dropped dramatically. So I was a little concerned that my flight might be canceled, but it wasn't. It wasn't canceled, but it was extremely delayed. We were supposed to leave like around 9:30. We didn't leave. Honestly, they delayed the flight. They kept on changing the gate. I didn't care. I was like, they didn't cancel it. They didn't cancel it. And finally said, okay, we're going to be leaving at 11 o'clock. Okay. We start getting on the plane at 10 o'clock. I was like, all right, I'm in my seat. I didn't care anything else. I'm already in my seat. As long as they don't cancel it while we're on the plane, which has happened to people. For the love of Southwest. Ooh. That's what I'm saying. Like, I try to have perspective here. So we're on the plane at 10 something. I'm already on the plane. At almost 11 o'clock, the pilot's like, well, we're just waiting on the flight crew to come and, get us, together. They're helping someone else out. I honestly don't know what time we left. It was definitely probably almost 2 a.m., if not later. It may have been 3 a.m. We were supposed to be in Copenhagen at 11 something in the morning. We didn't get to Copenhagen to nearly 4 p.m. So you do the math. And I'm sure that the pilot tried to make up. I wonder how that works for a pilot, though, because that's hours and you have to be alert and flying and doing all the things. Shout out to the people that work in the airport, people that work, as flight attendants and pilots. Because people act weird at the airport. And I think the reason why people act weird at the airport is because they are stressed and people react very differently to stress. So they're a little bit more weirder than they normally would be. So we finally get to go. I was already half asleep on that plane when I don't remember them taking off. That's how half asleep I was. I don't remember what time we left. But I had a comfortable flight. I didn't care. I was like, whatever. I don't care. As long as we make it there. We get to Copenhagen and baggage. I'm waiting for my baggage. Okay, one comes. I'm like, all right. And it's my smaller bag. It's, I got a couple of things in there. A couple of important things, thankfully. But my bigger luggage doesn't come. I'm already in an airport that I'm not familiar with. I'm like, can you tell me if there's more luggage? Because first of all, they don't even let you know no more luggage is coming out. It just, you wait around and like, okay. And there were quite a few of us still waiting for luggage and there was luggage still going around. So I'm assuming this luggage that came probably belonged to someone else, somewhere else. I don't know what happened to my luggage. To this day, I don't know what happened to my luggage. I don't understand it at this point in our 2022, 2023, why there is no efficient system where people aren't losing their luggage. However, I've traveled around the world and I've never had this happen to me before. So I just have to add it to as being a traveler. It's never happened to me before. Now it's happened. It wasn't really great, but I managed. So I go to report that my bag it didn't come with me. They say 1 or 2 days. So I'm checking the app just to see a status update. I was on the messaging service with Delta for hours waiting for an actual response, which I get because there were so many issues between the weather, between cancellations, and probably also between people losing their baggage. I eventually do get my baggage back 5 days later. And rewinding back a little bit, before I went to Twitter because you already know I'm a private person. I don't want to go to Twitter and, air Delta out for this. So I'm doing and spending the first 2 days behind the scenes, texting them and messaging with them and getting a status update. Like, what's going on? Do you even know where my luggage is? Because at one point I'm like, did they completely lose my luggage? Should I get a whole new outfit? Well, outfits while I'm in Denmark? Because there was no status update. There was no confirmation that it was at JFK. There was no confirmation that it even was anywhere. Okay. So once I did not get a solid information on if they even had my luggage, that's when I went to Twitter. And mind you, I added them directly. I didn't do people, I don't know what's going on with I didn't do any of that. I added them directly saying, please help me with this issue. And honestly, they just redirected me right back to the messaging service that I was already communicating with and waiting hours for a response. But because of all of you on Twitter that liked and commented, I think that really pushed them, even though it took 5 days before I received my luggage. Mind you, the day that I got there, I only had the carry-on bag that I actually checked. Thank God I at least got one bag, because at least in that bag I had maybe like one other pair of pants, a couple of pairs of shirts, some sneakers, and some other like little like my toiletries and things like that, which was helpful. It was helpful because when I landed in Copenhagen, it was Christmas Eve and everything was shutting down because Christmas Eve is a big holiday. By the time I got to the hotel and got settled, everything was already closed. It was the evening. But shout out to my hotel. I have to say, I think life brings balance. And if you look for the positive, you will find the positive. So I really was okay the first couple of days. I wasn't happy in regards to like, oh my God, what am I going to wear? What am I going to do? I can't really go anywhere to buy anything because the next day is Christmas Day and everything is closed. And it did end up ruining some other tours that I had planned. I had planned going to Oslo, Norway on this cruise those first couple of days. But I was like, I can't go to the cruise if I don't have the clothes. And I also don't know when my luggage is going to come. And I want to be at the hotel when my luggage does arrive. So everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. I canceled that tour. I forgot what I ended up doing. I ended up doing, because on Christmas Day, the hop on, hop off, tour that's in every country, that's still running. So I ended up doing that and just kind of seeing the major sites. And I got like a 2-day pass. So I did the 2-day pass. So that on the second day, there were certain places I just went back to and got off. I went to see the Royal Palace. I went to see the Little Mermaid. I got to hear about all the history. So I was getting like a little jump start. Okay. And the weather was actually kind of warmer in Denmark than it was in New York at the time, because New York was experiencing those high winds. It was like 11 degrees. In Denmark, it was like balmy. Not really, but it was definitely a lot warmer. And I already had in my mind, I'm not expecting sunshine and heat in Denmark. I knew, like I felt like it was colder in Berlin when I spent Christmas in Berlin. Just saying. So I made the most of those first couple of days. I'm trying to remember every single detail because I really wanted to talk this podcast to be just about that. Because I spent 10 days in Copenhagen, Denmark. I finally got my big luggage on the 5th day that I was there. And when I finally got it, I open it up and it's wet. I know what you're thinking. Wet? Yeah. Like wet. Mind you, I have hard luggage. So you imagine if I had like cloth luggage, like the material luggage, it probably would have been even more wet. But it was pretty wet. Like they had it sitting out in the rain. My luggage, if you look at the tracker, went to Paris first before it came to me. So I guess they were trying to expedite it as fast as they could to get it to me. I don't know how that was. Maybe they had to find. I don't know. I was originally thinking maybe the information got ripped off in the belt or whatever. No, but when I got the luggage, all of that stuff was still on there. So I'm like, where did it go? And why is my clothes wet? It didn't smell, but so I'm thinking that this was, I hope, rainwater. But why was it sitting out in the rain? My poor luggage. My poor clothes. But before that, I ended up going to H&M to get clothes because at this point, I'm like, okay, things are opened up. Now I can go get some clothes. I don't know when my luggage is coming to me. So I ended up going to H&M and getting a couple of things. You look, I can always shop, but I didn't really want to because I literally did shop before I left to bring to Copenhagen. Mind you, by the time I was leaving Copenhagen and I was trying to pack, I was like, I don't have room for everything. And luckily I went into this, I guess you call it a consignment shop where they sell, name brand, they resell vintage name brands and things like that. So I went there and ended up seeing this dog that was like a work of art that was made out of Louis Vuitton material. That's what pulled me in. But then I saw actual like the duffel bag, the LV duffel bag. And I was like, oh, I actually like this. And the price was good. The price was good. And I don't have any. So I was like, I'm going to get that. Luckily I did. I needed it. First of all, the big luggage that arrived late, that was already over like they only allot you 50 pounds. It was like 55. Luckily she didn't charge me. They may have known. Maybe they put something on my ticket. He's been through a lot. Leave him alone. But no, it really depends on who you get. They just took it. I was like, all right, thank God. Because I was like, what am I going to... I mean, I would just have to take things out and put it probably in the LV bag that I got. But luckily I got that because I already had some things in it. It was a little bit of a situation, all right? But it ended up being good because I have to say overall, after my luggage arrived, I'm always thinking, especially when you're traveling by yourself, you're more in your head. You're having more conversations with yourself. You're not having conversations with someone else and talking about all these other things that's going through people's lives. However, I will say this, traveling during the holidays in the airport, sometimes there are benefits to traveling with someone else, traveling with your partner, traveling with just your travel buddy or your friend. There are benefits because there are things that you probably would step out and do more that you probably wouldn't do as someone is traveling by yourself. There are a couple of things. I mean, sometimes I have to force myself like, nope, I need to go try this out. I need to go get out and see the town. And you can do that on your own schedule. When you're traveling with someone else, sometimes they're like, come on, let's go. Or they annoy you. But I have to say, I was in my feelings for a couple of times, during the holidays, seeing people travel with their boo. I'm like, this would be nice. And I know one day that's going to happen for you. Y'all already know. It's not like I'm hurting for it's not like people aren't knocking down the door. This is a choice. But with that choice of trying to build what I'm trying to build, there are those moments I'm like, this would be nice to share this experience with. And I'm like, you know what? The places that I've traveled, I would love to do again and take that significant other with me. I'm like, well, I remember when I did this by myself, this is what I saw. I learned so much. And I think if I had someone with me, like on this particular trip to Copenhagen, that it would have been different. I probably wouldn't have had the conversations that I had with certain people, learning more about the culture, learning about their political culture, learning about their the way that they interact, how Danish people view, work-life balance. Those conversations I probably wouldn't have had if I had someone with me. We probably would have only had those minor conversations just from tours. No, I had real conversations with people that live there, that are from there, that were born there, or have recently moved there. I even met some ladies from Brooklyn on my day tour. See, this is where it got better for me. I did a day tour to the castle that was made famous by the play Hamlet. I went to that castle, beautiful. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw some of the photos. Then that same day, getting to the castle, we get to see other parts of Denmark. First of all, I'm sure, I can't remember what reality show I was watching, but it probably was Real Housewives, where the Danish, they do go into the cold water. Wait, what, I can't remember what reality show that was. We saw this happen, but they go in naked. Like it's part of their culture to do that, to go into the ocean and the cold, during the cold weather, they feel like it's good for you. It's good for it like jumpstarts the heart and stuff. As we're on the tour bus and they're talking about this, we see this couple doing exactly that, going butt ass naked into the ocean. But this is like a foo-foo neighborhood. Like it is luxurious. We're seeing where princesses have their summer homes. Gorgeous. Because when I first got to Copenhagen, I was like, this is okay. You know, I've been to a few different European cities. So I was just like, this is okay. So getting outside of Copenhagen, though, there's some beautiful summer retreats and things like that. On this day tour, which I shout out to Mario, who was our tour guide. He was amazing, which reminds me, I need to make sure I write a review. Amazing tour guide, so friendly, so nice. You know, some people are just so good at their jobs. So he's explaining all of that. Then we also take, as a part of this day trip, we go to two parts of Sweden, two cities in Sweden, Lund and Malmo, because they're really close. I need to go back to Sweden, but I learned, you know, I didn't realize Denmark and Sweden had this beef first. Like they had wars, okay? And still, even though they're at peace now, they're still like, you know, they don't see it for each other. And I didn't realize that Sweden is having like, because, you know, news controls a lot of what we see and understand. It's like the Wild Wild West. You know how we talk about Atlanta being the Wild Wild West? They say in Sweden, it's the Wild Wild West. And I know the Swedish people that follow me, you'll let me know your views of the Danish folks. But this is what they were telling me. I mean, I'm going to go and investigate for myself. I will say this, though. When I went to Lund and I went to Malmo, they know how to do Christmas better than Denmark. But here's the thing. Denmark, specifically Copenhagen, this is what I really appreciate about Europe in general, because they really are trying to do better for the environment. Like you actively see them doing that. Copenhagen, Denmark, they're actively doing that. So the reason why we don't see a lot of Christmas lights and all that stuff, you know, going on is because they're trying to save energy. I also got to see where they burn material and garbage to create energy. I was like, I love that. I love that. Even my hotel was very energy conscious, probably because, you know, they have to be. My hotel was unique. I mean, I'm going to post some video that I just haven't had the time, y'all. Just trying to make the time to do all of the creation and business side of things. I got to figure that out in 2023. I got to build my team so I can focus on those things. My hotel was just like, I felt like I was living in Harry Potter's hotel because it was just so unique and quirky, but just also very efficient and very good. The only thing that I did not love about my hotel was getting to my room every night. If I was someone that drank, I would probably not make it to my room because it was like a maze. But the hotel room, it was probably the best hotel room that I've ever had in Europe because of the size. Also, it was clean. It was nice. But the size, because, you know, in Europe, normally for even if you're paying top dollar, you're not getting necessarily a big room. I had a pretty big room in Copenhagen. I love this hotel. It's called 25 Hours Hotel. It was right by the Round Tower in Copenhagen. Shameless plug. They're not paying me. They should have, though. I mean, I could be such a better influencer because I could get these hotel stays for free, but I pay my money because I don't want. To me, it's like, ugh, I gotta work now. I mean, I was working regardless. Anyway, so we took that day trip to other part of Denmark, but also to Sweden. Sweden, they literally have, even in Denmark though, you know how we have a lot of fake trees we see around, even here in New York, you see a lot of fake trees. However, like everywhere you go in Copenhagen and in Sweden were real trees with real decorations and lights. And I posted a few pictures of some of the pictures that I took in Sweden. So that's Sweden. I will be back. I want to see more of Sweden, and I want to see Norway. This was the very first time I went to Scandinavia. I just realized that. Yeah, I've been to Europe, but I haven't been to a Scandinavian country. So that was cool, and that was great to have conversations with people and understand perspectives on my last day. Because I was like, there's no way I can come to this country, especially Denmark, who's known, it's like foodie capital. There's no way I can come here and not do some sort of food tour. So on my last day, well, like my last full day, I did a food tour, which was great because then I was like, at least I feel like I'm getting an understanding of the food and how it plays a part within the culture. So that was great. And some of the food was really good. I was just like, oh. And I was asking all kinds of questions to my tour guide. And it was like a one-on-one tour, which is perfect because I've done food tours before. It's a few of us. So you don't get that one-on-one experience. And I'm also getting, as an interviewer, I'm asking him questions about his life and how he ended up in Denmark and, things like that. So, and also giving him business ideas, just saying. I mean, I'm open to doing that for people, but a lot of times people don't take that advice. And I'm just like, all right, you can give people the advice. I mean, what's the saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Literally. I've done that. So that's the other thing. One of the things I've decided for 2023, there are so many friends, family that I've always tried to bring in and, okay, I need help. I'd much rather give this opportunity to friends and family, and they always just F it up. So I've decided going forward, I'm not doing it. It hasn't worked for me. I need to find people that are just good, that are passionate, that are diligent, and that work as hard as I do. Good help is hard to find. So when they talk about robots taking things over and technology, well, if people worked as hard and were look, I work hard. And a lot of you say that, that. So there's no way anyone can be on my team and they're not working harder than me. You have to make my life easier, not harder. I don't like to micromanage people. I really don't. And if I have to, I'd rather just like, no, we can't work together. In 2022, I really tried to bring people in and give people opportunities that were friends or friends of friends. And it ended up where I was like, this is not working. I much rather you pay you and then be like, no, this is not working. This is not working for me. So that's one of my goals for 2022. I'm not doing that anymore. I've tried over the years and it just blew up in my face. No more. I'm gonna find somebody through somebody else, like an actual professional, like hiring agency. But let's talk more about what's been going on in the news. A lot has happened. Jen Shah was sentenced to 6.5 years in a federal prison. More than likely, it will be in Texas. She's asking for it to be in Texas. And it was interesting because one of the reporters reported that in the court, they were asking for her to be at an RDAP facility. And someone in the comment section says, oh, that is for someone with a drug or some sort of addiction issue. And made a lot of us speculate, wait, does she have a drinking or drug addiction or something? Or is she just using that as a way to get a year off of her sentence? So one of the big things that happened this week, we'll get to Rinna in a second, was Jen Shah going to court and being sentenced to 6.5 years plus 5 years of supervised release. And she's already agreed to pay millions in restitution. Speaking of millions, I think that Jen Shah actually does have money because we're always like, how is she able to afford all this stuff? I think she does have money, and she might have money in other bank accounts outside the country. Do you think that she's really going to clean up her life when she gets out of prison? And do you? And according to, shout out to Emily D. Baker, she caught this in the transcript as well. She says that she's still a cast member of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I don't know if I don't believe anything that comes out of Jen Shah's mouth, but I mean, I hope the Salt Lake City is still here when she finally gets out of prison. And will they even want her then, depending on where the cast comes? Sidebar, Heather Gay, did you bust your eye on a faucet? That's how you got it, and they edited it out? I heard that's a word on the street now. Honestly, at this point, I don't even care, Heather. You went from being a fan fave to annoying. Because even if you're saying that the producers edited out you saying that, there were all these other moments of you like not saying it. So did you bust your head on a faucet because you were drunk? We could understand that. I don't think any of us would judge you. But we're judging you now because you're dragging this whole situation out. But everyone really speculated that Jen Shah is the one who gave the shiner. She didn't want to say because of this pending sentencing. So at the sentencing, a lot of you Bravo fans were there. I wasn't. Literally, though. I was downtown. I should have went. I really should have. I didn't realize that it was like literally near me, and I was like, "Oh, I should have went. I should have went." But then, like, to go what for what? Y'all don't. When I talk about Jen Shah on my channels, y'all don't really care that much. You care, like, you want to know, you want to hear my thoughts on it, but you don't really care that. Not to the level like Elisa Rinna. When we talk about those stories, those are like, oh my god. Or we talk about RHOA. Speaking of RHOA, Kenya Moore is out promoting this other reality show that she's doing, and she's talking about the new season of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She says from the jump, there's a lot of fighting. She talks about her fighting with someone's boyfriend. That's her fighting with Martell. We already knew that story. So her and Martell get into it. I'm not surprised. Martell, you're going to lose. This is the Shade Assassin. And you have no credibility. I don't even believe this relationship. And I'm sure we're going to see Martell on RHOA, which Carlos is hoping. Y'all think I hate Carlos. Carlos, can you just let the people know that we don't hate each other? Wait, maybe you hate me, though. I don't hate you, Carlos. I'm just real. If I don't like something that you did, or if I do like something that you did, I will say it. It doesn't hurt me to say, oh, I like something you did, or I feel like this is getting tired. I'm just honest. And if that means it burns bridges, I'm sorry. I didn't quit my corporate job to suck up to nobody new. But I don't hate Carlos King. I'm still waiting on the Encore season 2. I could care less about Love and Marriage Huntsville, though. Just saying. Just saying. But Kenya's saying that this is going to be a dynamic new season. There are some new faces, some. She's not saying they're newbies. She's saying that there are some new people. She doesn't know if they're going to come on as full-time housewives or even friend ofs. They might be guests. I heard Manetta has filmed a lot this season. I don't know. I'm open. I like Manetta. I will see. I don't feel like she brought a lot last season, but apparently she's getting into all kinds of things with people this season. I'm gonna give her a shot. I'm gonna come into this new season with an open heart. Okay. Okay. Guys, as always, if you haven't already, be sure to rate and review the podcast. It does matter. I would love, because we do have thousands of people that listen to the podcast and download the podcast, but we don't have that amount of ratings and reviews. So be sure to rate and review. 5. Give us 5. I'm not trying to even tell you to rate willy-nilly. No, I want you to rate us a 5 and tell me how much you love me. Thank you. Anyways, Jen Shah. Okay, elephant brain. So Jen Shah's situation is interesting because along with that addiction note that came out in that whole situation, Emily Z. Baker brought up the fact that she says that she's still a cast member. And the judge was like, I'm not going to hold anything that you've done on reality TV against you. I'm going to base this off of what we have here in front of us, the things that you did to these elderly people. And if you read their witness statements, I think you would feel very differently about Jen Shah. Especially her laughing about one of the victims, an 80-year-old victim, in these text messages with her and Stu Chainz. Stu Chainz has not been sentenced yet. Emily D. Baker did say that her sentencing is very much in line with some of what the other people that were involved in this telemarketing scheme received. However, someone did receive like 87 months or something like that, or 81 months or something like that. So I wonder what Stu Chainz will get. He was facing like 70 years. So, and I know a lot of you are like, why would he face more years than her? Because his exposure probably was more there because he was doing like the grunt work. So that might be the reason, but he did take a plea, so he's probably facing far less time. I wonder how many months he will get. He also has young children. But I still don't feel sorry for Jen Shah. Like, I felt sorry for her watching her going to court because I can't imagine going to prison. You know what I mean? But these are the choices that she's made. But I have a heart. I don't think she has a heart, stealing from elderly people. So she did ask the judge to go to Texas. So it'll be interesting to see. She's set to go to, she has to report for prison on February 17th. So she has a little bit over a month to get her affairs in order and spend some time with her family. Okay. So in other Housewives news, there was a major, I feel like this news is probably bigger than Jen Shah. Lisa Rinna confirmed that she will not be returning for the 13th season of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. There's been a lot of celebration, more celebration than I saw people saying, "Oh my gosh." Andy Cohen did post. So he posted a picture of Drunk Drawn that had all these different moments of Lisa Rinna, and he put an iconic run. And look, I've said this before and I'll say this again. I don't feel as if Lisa Rinna would have been the first person that I got rid of from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills when we talk about who's not bringing something. But I also understand why she would not return. And I do believe that they decided not to renew her contract because Lisa Rinna's behavior really crossed the line on so many different levels. We also have to remember that this woman is these are coworkers. This is a business. This is a place of work. And if you have someone that is taking everything to another level offline, we saw them literally. Garcelle says this: you're the one on social media taking this to a whole other level. So she's creating a hostile work environment. That's real. And a lot of fans, and Bravo does do their own focus groups and seeing how fans are connecting with these women. So a lot of times when you see people let go, and you're like, why was that person let go? It's because they're not connecting with fans. Or why is this person still on the show? Because they are connecting with fans on some level. No matter what you think you see on Twitter or you see in the comment section on YouTube, those aren't great indications of how fans really feel. Luckily, I see what all of you say on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and consistently, and at BravoCon, and consistently, the fans have turned on Lisa. Yes, there's a handful of people that are Lisa stans, and I think some of those people are just Lisa stans for the check. Not from her, but just in general, because they much rather lean towards the opposition because they feel like, oh, I can create something from that. Not that they really believe it. But I do believe there are people that do believe that Lisa is an icon. Y'all throw around that word icon and legend way too willy-nilly. Maybe in the world of Housewives, you want to call her iconic, but I'm not going to even give her that. Because when I grew up watching and seeing people icons like Aretha Franklin, Meryl Streep, I'm just trying to think of actors. Janet Jackson, Madonna. Like, those are icons. Naomi Campbell, that have been through things, that have changed things, that have broke glass ceilings. Those are icons. Those are legends. So I refuse. Maybe in the reality Bravo universe, y'all want to call her a legend. Okay, y'all have every right to do what you want to do, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to give Lisa Rinna that much credit. And I'm also not going to give Lisa Rinna the credit that, oh my God, it's over for Beverly Hills next season. They already have a very a big cast. So we noticed this past season, and I said it during my recaps of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, is that when Lisa Rinna wasn't there, when we had very little of Lisa Rinna or no Lisa Rinna at all during last season, we didn't care. And I really feel if this new cast comes back, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. So I don't believe that this was a Lisa Rinna decision. I do believe that they maybe lowballed her. It's like, oh, she's never going to accept this. And she's like, I can't accept this. I got a mortgage to pay. A mortgage that's worth more than my home. And she said this is the longest job that she's had. And I was like, really? How long were you on Days of Our Lives? I felt like you were on Days of Our Lives for longer. But maybe not. So this is the longest job. This is going to hurt Lisa Rinna's pockets. This is the longest job that she's had, and it's probably the highest paid that she's had. I don't think that she was asking for $2 million. According to other reports, people are saying that she was already making $2 million a season. I don't think it was just about money. I think Bravo may have offered her something and maybe lowballed her. Or maybe they're like, yeah, I think maybe we need to put you on pause. She's like, put me on pause. Now they are. But I feel like Beverly Hills will move forward. I don't believe that LVP will be coming back. I feel like LVP has her own other platform and she much rather be on that platform because she can control the narrative there. However, Bravo, if you cancel it, she'll come back because she's going to want to be on television. LVP did post on her Twitter once the news broke that Lisa Rinna was gone. Ding dong, aka Ding Dong, the witch is dead. I love LVP. I love her for those types of things. Okay, Kyle, not so much. But it makes me wonder, what is the future for people like Dorito? Doritos, was on thin ice. Did this situation save her job? And what will be the dynamics now that Erika Jayne is sort of out there on her own? She's going to be forced to make amends with a Kyle. Kathy Hilton says she's not going to return if Erika Jayne and Lisa Rinna are there. So I wonder if Kathy will return now that Lisa at least is gone. I think she would, because I don't think she saw... No, I mean, at the reunion, it got pretty bad between her and Erika, because Erika was like, I heard you say the F-bomb. So it will be interesting. I don't think Erika will carry that bone as much as Lisa did. She probably would just move forward and not want to talk about that anymore and try to be in a better place. Crystal Kung Minkoff, I'm hearing, might be demoted. All of this information is going to slowly be confirmed because they're going to start filming very soon. The producers decided to take this time off. It might have been because they were trying to figure out what this cast was going to look like for this new season, and they were still probably negotiating whatever they were going to do with Lisa Rinna. And finally, Lisa was like, all right, I'm not going to return. Bye. I won't miss Lisa Rinna, to be honest with you. Yeah, she was cool for a couple of seasons. Yeah, she's given us some funny moments. I've used memes with her before, but bye. Bye. I also don't believe that Beverly Hills is as great as people have made Beverly Hills out to be. Recent years, they've gotten better. And I think that's partially because of what went down with the whole Erika Jayne situation. And it's not because of Erika. It's because people actually started asking Erika the questions that needed to be asked. Look at Jen Shah on Salt Lake City. They're afraid to ask her those questions. They're afraid to engage in that conversation because they're scared of her. But that's also allowed for her to kind of skate by, and also for the season to be just sort of like, what's happening here? There's a big elephant in the room, and we're not talking about it. We're talking about Heather's imaginary black eye that she got somehow, some way, and she's not telling us. See how that worked out for them? And you see their ratings? So you should probably thank the boring Sutton and Garcelle. You got to engage. You got to ask questions, especially if these things are happening. Lisa Rinna refused to talk about what was really happening in her own life. That was also a part of her downfall. She never really engaged in what is happening with her. This past season, we had just right before the season, during the season, her daughter going on social media talking about how her mother wasn't there for her during her mental health situation. Why didn't we talk about that? And these producers allow them to sort of like skate by and not talk about these things. And you can't say it's for, hold on. Where's my Erika thing?
We're on appeal for legal reasons.
She was able to talk about her legal stuff as much as she could. So you're not telling me that they can't do it either. Dorito and her multiple legal situations and tax issues never talked about. So it'll be interesting to see what season 13 will be about and what the dynamics will be, and what the dynamics will be now that Lisa Rinna is not there. I think Lisa Rinna was very toxic, and she was someone that was divisive within the group. It will be interesting to see if these women can actually be connected and bond with her not being there. They like to say that about Sutton with Garcelle, but I actually think Lisa did that to the group. I wonder what it will look like with her gone. And who else will be gone? Who do you think should be gone? Guys, as always, I want to know your thoughts in the comment section, in the reviews, your thoughts on all of this stuff. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the Kempire Radio YouTube channel so you can see the visual version of this podcast, and subscribe to the Kempire Radio podcast on your favorite podcast platform. More information is available in the description of this video. Thank you all for being here. I hope you're having a fantastic beginning of 2023. Cheers to a happy and, more importantly, healthy 2023. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching.